The next time we see Ilia Topuria fight, it is for an undisputed title.
Okay.
The question is it going to be
Against
for
Islam.
against Islam for the actual undisputed
Yeah.
or the vacant undisputed?
There's no way that I have to fight to the #1 contender. I have to fight directly for the belt.
Islam doesn't want to fight him because if he wins him, people are gonna say, okay, you again beat the 145 fighters, and he's not #1 contender. If Islam beats me, and then I think he's done with this division. He beat everybody.
Ilia Topuria is set to fight for the lightweight title at UFC 317. According to some inside news, the former featherweight champion Ilia Topuria will fight for the lightweight belt at UFC 317, but his opponent remains uncertain. The current champion Islam might move to the welterweight division after UFC 315, so if this happens, Topuria will probably compete for a potentially vacated belt against a top contender like Charles Oliveira or Justin Gaethje. Rumors began to spread across social media after Ilia Topuria tweeted that he had started his training camp. Fans and pros alike began speculating about which fight Topuria was preparing for. Ilia Topuria wrote on his X account, "The camp has begun." As the news spread, the famous Spanish news reporter Alvaro Colmenero, who is known for his updates about Topuria, confirmed the purpose of this training camp. He revealed that Ilia Topuria is going to fight for the belt at the UFC 317 fight card. Alvaro Colmenero said, "Ilia Topuria will be fighting at International Fight Week for a title, I am told." Senior MMA journalist Ariel Helwani also said that the next fight of Ilia Topuria will be a title fight. He claims that the Spanish fighter will either compete for the undisputed belt against Islam Makhachev, or the vacated belt against Charles Oliveira, or someone else in case Islam decides to move up after a Jack Della Maddalena win at UFC 315.
They got the belt off of Ilia. They could do the same with Islam.
So does that mean it would be for a vacated title?
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I don't believe for a second the next here's what I feel is, and maybe I'll regret this one. The next time we see Ilia Topuria fight, it is for an undisputed title.
Okay.
The question is it going to be against Islam for the actual undisputed or the vacant undisputed?
Moreover, Alvaro Colmenero later clarified his statement after some fans questioned whether Topuria might fight for an interim lightweight belt. Colmenero completely ruled out those rumors and confirmed that Ilia will only be fighting for the undisputed lightweight title currently held by Islam Makhachev. Alvaro Colmenero further added, "Update, there will be no interim lightweight belt. It will be undisputed or vacant. There are no other options." Recently, Colby Covington also leaked the UFC 317 fight card. He revealed that the main event could be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, and he was quite excited for that one, calling it an insane matchup. As for the co-main, Covington mentioned a potential middleweight title fight between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev. He described the entire lineup as a crazy card.
I haven't announced it, but I think it's going to be Makhachev and Topuria.
Oh, that's going to be a crazy one.
It's going to be a sick fight.
That's going to be a fight.
Talking about maybe putting the co-main as, who's the co-main? I think the 85 title fight between DDP, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev.
That's a crazy card,
It's going to be a sick card.
On the other hand, Chael Sonnen believes the UFC missed the perfect timing for an Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria fight. He praised Topuria for aligning himself well, especially in terms of drawing attention with a potential matchup against Paddy Pimblett. Sonnen argued that if the UFC wanted to make a champion versus champion fight, they should have done it while both were still title holders. Waiting until one is no longer champion to revisit the idea would feel a little bit weird.
Topuria is doing all the right stuff by aligning himself to be next. And if he wants to stay busy, he is a prize fighter. We don't get weekly or bi-weekly deposits into the account. You got to go out there and you got to do the fight. And if he is looking for something big that people want to see, he has found that in Paddy Pimblett. That really would make things a lot bigger. I just believe if the UFC was going to match up champion versus champion, they would have made that match when it was champion versus champion. Wants to wait till one of them is no longer a champion and then reemerge with the same idea that would be a little bit weird.
However, Topuria is really excited to fight Islam and wants to show his power in the lightweight division. Topuria warned that when he makes his debut in the 155-pound division, he'll knock someone out with just a touch without even needing to land on the chin. He said he feels incredibly powerful at lightweight, strong, and stable on the ground. Confident in both his wrestling and cardio, he declared that he could go 5 rounds or even 5 days without any problem.
You are going to see me at 155 that I'm going to touch someone and I'm going to take his lights out. Even if I don't need to touch his chin. I just touch his head and it will explode. I feel so powerful at that weight class. So powerful, so stable in the ground. Like, do you want to wrestle? Let's wrestle. No problem. And I have the gas tank for 5 days, not 5 rounds.
Topuria is excited to fight in the lightweight division, but he's not interested in a #1 contender fight as he only wants to fight for the title. He believes it's the most marketable matchup since everyone else has already lost to Makhachev. He added that even if Islam chooses not to fight him, he doesn't care because eventually Makhachev will have no choice. Topuria challenged Islam's claim of dominance, saying he can't keep avoiding him forever. When asked if he'd wait rather than fight someone else, Topuria implied he would because he doesn't think the UFC will go a different direction.
Dana would say Islam.
He would say for the belt.
He would say for the belt.
Yeah.
I think so as well because you're undefeated.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's no way that I have to fight to the #1 contender. I have to fight directly for the belt.
How soon do you think that would happen?
Personally, I don't know. I hope in summer, maybe in September. I don't know.
Topuria believes Dana White would choose Islam Makhachev as his opponent and make the fight for the belt. Topuria thinks he should fight for the title directly, not go through a #1 contender fight, especially since he's undefeated. When asked when he thinks the fight could happen, he said he's not sure, maybe in the summer or September, but whenever it happens, it will happen.
I wouldn't fight for a #1 contender
Really?
fight. No.
You only want to fight for the title?
Yeah, of course.
Really? Okay.
Of course.
No, I understand. That makes sense to me. Look, also, it's the most marketable fight. Everybody else has lost to him, right?
I don't care if Islam decides that he doesn't want to fight me. I don't care. I said, till you're going to have to fight me. Okay? You say that you are the world champion, you're going to keep dominating the division, all that. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time.
So you would just sit on the sidelines rather than fight someone else?
I don't think that they're going to do that.
Joe Rogan and Ilia Topuria further discussed the lightweight division, with Topuria pointing out that Islam Makhachev has essentially cleaned out the division. Rogan feels that Arman Tsarukyan still needs to rebuild and won't be getting a title shot anytime soon. Moreover, Topuria made 2 interesting matchups. He suggested putting Justin Gaethje against Paddy Pimblett and himself facing Makhachev. He confidently stated that after beating Islam, he'd earn the title, then face Paddy. When asked if he thought Paddy could beat Gaethje, Topuria replied, yes, easy, surprising Rogan, who acknowledged Gaethje's reputation as a tough fighter.
If you look at it, like
Who
he's
else?
kind of cleaned out the division. There's no
Who else?
no one else. I mean, Arman's got to build himself back up.
Yeah.
He's not going to get a title shot.
I would put Justin Gaethje against Paddy Pimblett, me against Islam. Once I pass him, I get the title, and you put me against Paddy, because I think that he's gonna.
You think Paddy's going to beat Justin Gaethje?
Easy.
Wow. Really easy?
Yeah.
However, Justin Gaethje has other plans, as he said he's ready to fight in June and hopes to get the call soon. He noted that Makhachev wants to fight in June as well. Gaethje said he's near the end of his career, with a 4-1 record in his last 5 fights, the only loss coming to Max Holloway. He believes Oliveira is out of the picture, Tsarukyan hurts his chances, and Topuria could be next. Ultimately, he'll leave the decision to his coaches and manager, but he's hoping to fight Makhachev.
I'm ready to fight in June. I don't know. I think Makhachev said he wants to fight in June. I'm hoping that I get that call sooner rather than later, so I can, I'm obviously working, but, yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy ride. I'm not at the beginning of the journey anymore. It's towards the end. I'm 4-1 in my last 5 fights, only losing to Max Holloway. So, yeah, I think I should, we got Oliveira, already lost. Tsarukyan really fucked it up. I don't think they're gonna want to give it to him. And then Topuria, I can see him giving it to Topuria. So, we'll see what they do. But ultimately, I let my coaches and manager make the choice on who I'm going to fight. I'm hoping it's Makhachev.
Similarly, Charles Oliveira is also looking for a title fight. He expressed that he's focused on the belt and isn't running from any opponent. He respects all the fighters, but emphasized that he will set his own pace and game plan. Oliveira said he'd be open to fighting Topuria for the title, as he's not interested in fighting just to wait for a title shot. He wants the belt now.
Então eu tô em busca do título. Eu não corro de ninguém, nunca corri, não vai ser agora que eu vou correr. Eu tô pronto para lutar contra qualquer um desses caras, né? Respeito todos eles, mas vou imprimir meu ritmo, meu jogo. Por que não, né? Se for pelo título, por que não lutar com o Topuria? Eu tô em busca do título, eu não quero fazer mais uma luta para poder esperar o título, não. Para mim isso não me interessa, eu quero lutar pelo título.
Charles Oliveira dismissed the idea of fighting Paddy Pimblett for a money fight before pursuing the title. He said he's focused solely on the title and not on fighters beneath him. While acknowledging that Paddy is a tough, rising fighter, Oliveira made it clear that he's not thinking about that fight.
A luta pro Pimblett, se fosse uma money fight ali pra você ficar esperando o título ou...
Cara, eu nem penso nisso. Eu tô pensando em um título, então não tem como ficar pensando em os caras que estão abaixo de mim.
Charles Oliveira is also not interested in fighting Arman Tsarukyan for a contender spot. He acknowledged their previous fight was close, where he believed he won 2 rounds, but emphasized that it's in the past. Oliveira stated that Tsarukyan had his chance, and while he suffered an injury, it's over now. He reiterated that the fight to make it is for the title.
Se o UFC quiser fazer uma luta com ele, garantindo que quem vencer luta pelo título, também não te interessaria?
Também não penso nessa luta. Foi uma luta muito apertada entre eu e ele. Eu acho que eu ganhei 2 rounds, mas já passou, deram a vitória para ele. Eu acho que ele teve a oportunidade dele, infelizmente teve a lesão que teve, então já passou. Eu acho que, como eu te falei, a luta que tem que ser feita é a luta pelo título.
Meanwhile, the UFC bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili believes Ilia Topuria must fight Islam Makhachev, especially since Ilia vacated his featherweight belt and is no longer a 145. In Merab's view, Ilia is the most deserving contender at 155. He pointed out that despite this, Islam seems to be avoiding the matchup. Merab reminded fans that Islam once showed him respect and asked him to fight real contenders during a press conference, but now, when faced with a true top contender, Islam isn't stepping up. He noted that everyone agrees Ilia has earned the fight and he hopes it gets made.
So Ilia has to fight Islam Makhachev, especially he vacated his belt and he's not anymore 145 and he's the best deserving contender for the 155 belt, but somehow Islam ignoring him. I'm sure you guys everybody remember that Islam told me only 1 word in press conference: Merab, I respect you, but when you have a top contender, you should fight him. And I said, okay, I'm fighting. But now he has a top contender as a Ilia Topuria, but he's not fighting because he's saying some other things, and we all agree that Ilia deserves this fight more.
Furthermore, Aljamain Sterling believes Ilia Topuria has accomplished too much to risk him losing to someone else before getting a title shot. While he thinks Ilia would be competitive against anyone, he sees a fight with Islam Makhachev as the most compelling matchup right now, especially if Arman Tsarukyan isn't getting an immediate rematch.
All the things that Ilia has accomplished, I think it would be a disservice to risk him losing to somebody else. Even though I still think he will give a great fight to whoever, but it's like, yo, this is the most compelling fight that I think you can make right now, especially if you're not going to give an automatic redo for Arman Tsarukyan.
Aljamain Sterling thinks Ilia Topuria could be a serious threat to Islam Makhachev, noting that Alexander Volkanovski already gave Islam a major surprise in their first fight. He's watched that bout multiple times and often leans toward Volkanovski having won it, possibly 3-2 or even a draw. Sterling admits some bias might be involved, but based purely on what he saw, he felt Volk did enough, suggesting that a fighter like Topuria could also present a real challenge for Islam.
Would Ilia pose a huge risk for Islam? Like, do you think he would be the toughest test for Islam at 155 right now?
Well, the first fight with Volk gave him a big surprise. Arguably even won the fight. I watched that fight probably 5 times and I go back and forth. I'm like, I just felt like Volk won, but I'm not a judge. I don't know if that's biased because I just was hoping for the underdog to win. But just based on what I was watching, I thought Volk did enough to get it 3-2 or maybe even a draw.
Aljamain Sterling sees Topuria versus Makhachev as a compelling matchup. He credits Ilia with dominantly beating top opponents and questions what Islam offers beyond size. Sterling points to Makhachev's tough first fight with Volkanovski as proof that smaller fighters can push him. He notes the unfair perception that if Islam wins, it'll be dismissed as another featherweight victory, but still believes it's a great fight.
I think Ilia Topuria has beaten some of the greatest in unreal fashion, and I think that's undisputable to anybody. It's a very compelling fight. From a stylistic approach, it's just like, well, what does Islam do other than just being the bigger guy? And I think with that, the last time he fought a smaller dude on the first time, it was a very tough fight with Volkanovski, and I feel it's hard because if he beats him, then I know people are going to say you beat a featherweight. So that's a little unfair. So it's tough. It's going to be a great fight nonetheless, but I do hope they make the Ilia fight.
The lightweight fighter Beneil Dariush also believes Ilia Topuria is the most deserving of a title shot if he moves up to the lightweight division. However, Dariush thinks that Islam Makhachev and his team might not want to face another fighter coming from 145 pounds, as they've already fought 2 of them. Makhachev's team likely prefers contenders from the lightweight division. Dariush acknowledged that while Makhachev is eager to fight new opponents, it puts him in a tricky situation. Topuria is a former 145, which makes the matchup less appealing for Islam, even though he's a deserving contender.
Ilia is coming into the division. I honestly think he's the most deserving, but I don't think Makhachev and his team right now want to give a shot to another 45er. I think they feel like they did it twice. That's enough, you know. Now they want contenders, and at the same time, but Makhachev also wants to fight new guys, so it's kind of one of those things where you're stuck because you have a new opponent, but he's a former 45er, and you're like, I don't want to fight another 45er. So it's a weird spot to be in.
Beneil Dariush further believes that with Topuria's skill set, he could easily succeed at 155. Dariush acknowledged that in his one fight at lightweight, Topuria was in significant danger, but he still believes he'll have success in the division. Dariush expressed interest in seeing how Topuria handles better wrestlers, those who keep shooting for takedowns and don't tire from the pressure.
For Ilia now getting into the lightweight division, do you think he finds a lot of success in your division?
Yeah, I mean, look at his skill set. He can do it all, and he doesn't seem to be that small at 55. I know the one fight he had at 155 was where he was basically in the most danger he's ever been, but I think he'll have success at 155. I do. I'm interested to see how well he'll do against the better wrestlers, the guys who keep shooting and don't mind, don't get tired from trying to take you down.
Michael Chandler also discussed this potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, noting that there's a noticeable size difference, with Islam being a taller and bigger lightweight. While Islam excels in all areas, Chandler acknowledged that Ilia has the edge in striking and is extremely patient. He believes if Ilia can avoid being taken down and stay composed, using his big shots to break down Islam, it could be a successful night for Topuria.
There's definitely a size difference. I think Ilia is a lot smaller than Islam. Islam is a big lightweight, a tall lightweight, and he's good in every area. However, Ilia's definitely got the edge in the striking department, and Ilia is very, very, very patient. Now, if he's able to not get taken down and he's able to just patiently break down Islam with those big shots that he lands, the big punches that he lands, it's going to be a good night for Ilia.
Michael Chandler also emphasized that if Islam Makhachev can get his hands on Ilia Topuria and take him down, the fight would change significantly. Chandler pointed out that grappling with 145-pounders is much different from grappling with someone like Islam, who is one of the best grapplers in recent memory. Islam is strong, skilled at controlling positions, and can do significant damage. Chandler gave the edge to Islam due to his size, strength of schedule, and experience defending the belt, but he made it clear that he wouldn't count out Topuria.
I think if Islam gets his hands on him and gets him taken down, I mean, grappling with 145-pounders is a lot different than grappling with Islam, who is one of the best grapplers that we've seen in a very long time. He's strong, he's great at doing damage and getting good positions. I'd have to give the edge to Islam just by size, by strength of schedule thus far, and defending the belt.
Dominic Cruz also thinks Ilia Topuria has the tools to beat Islam Makhachev. He emphasized that Topuria needs to keep the fight on the feet, dictate the range, and keep Makhachev on his heels. Cruz explained that wrestlers struggle to time their shots when moving backward, as it goes against the fundamentals of grappling. If Topuria can maintain good striking defense and stuff a few of Makhachev's takedowns, Cruz thinks he can shift the momentum in his favor and have a strong chance of winning.
Do you think he has the tools to beat Islam if they do fight or when they fight?
Of course he does. Yeah, he has the tools. It's keep it on the feet, dictate the range, and keep Makhachev on his heels. You keep a wrestler on his heels, it's hard for them to time the shot. Never in wrestling, in the pure sport of wrestling, are you to be moving back. If you're moving back, the point usually gets scored for the other guy. It's not part of the fundamentals of grappling to be moving back. You want to be moving forward. So if you keep Makhachev moving back with a good striking defense and he's able to stuff a couple of the takedowns, I think he can get the momentum going in his favor and gives himself a really good chance at it.
The English featherweight fighter Arnold Allen also understands why Islam Makhachev might avoid a fight with Ilia Topuria, given his focus on defending the belt against true lightweight contenders rather than ex-featherweights or short-notice replacements. Still, few matchups are bigger than Topuria right now. While Allen has doubted Ilia in the past and been proven wrong, he leans toward Islam winning this one, possibly by knockout.
I understand why Islam wouldn't want it, right? He wants to fight legit contenders, and he's had like featherweights, ex-featherweights, late notice guys, replacements. He wants to sort of solidify his title reign, but probably is no bigger fight than Ilia, right? If he goes and batters Ilia, it looks pretty good. I don't know. Every time I've ruled him out, he proves me wrong, so I'm not going to do it again. Yeah, like I say, I think Islam wins and he gets ironed out.
So the spotlight is firmly on Ilia Topuria. Whether he faces Islam Makhachev for the undisputed title or battles another top contender for a potential vacant belt, one thing is certain: Topuria is ready to shake up the lightweight division in a big way. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started.